Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
The Toronto Maple Leafs have been sensed. Welcome back to Game Over Ottawa, everybody. Maude and Charlie teaming up for this one tonight for the Battle of Ontario, and I have to say that went way better than I could have ever expected. I'm sure you're probably feeling the same way, eh, Charlie?
The guys from the STP had a live event in Kingston, in Leafs country, playing the Sens. There's no way Steve is allowed to have a live event and have a good time. It's not. That's just not in the cards. I single out Steve just because I think out of anyone, I think everyone can agree. It feels like, despite them all cheering for the same team, he feels the most cursed. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm happy. I'm having a good time. I had a great night.
Yeah, definitely a huge shout out to all the SDPN fans in Kingston tonight, hanging out with the SDP boys. Like Charlie said, though, bad choice of game. They picked a rough one for the Leafs. That's probably the Leafs, one of the Leafs' worst games of the year, and I would say that was the best Sens game of the year so far, eh?
Oh yeah. For sure. I mean, granted, I think I'm working with a really short memory here, but the last couple games I did were the last loss to Pittsburgh, the 7-0 loss to Colorado. Like, just
Jeez.
it's so good to actually. Speaking of which, just before we get into this game, I thought I'd do a fun little exercise because we are now 48 games in.
Mm-hmm.
We have done 8 games together. We have each done 20 games on our own. So I wanted to
We split it pretty well,
check
though.
out. I wanted to check the stats, and as expected with the 500 team, it's really boring.
Oh my god.
So games with both of us after tonight's game, 4-4.
Okay.
The Sens are 4-4, both of us. Now we've each, like I said, we've each done exactly 20 games on our own, like with the guests, but like not with the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
In those 20 games for you, the Sens have gone 10, 10, and 0.
Ooh, dead
and
even.
For me, they've gone 8, 9, and 3. So very close, which is to be expected, I guess, with a team that's right around 500. But I was kind of thinking, I wasn't sure if we were going to see, like, I want to see the stats for Peter and Audie in Calgary, because like it feels really lopsided. Audie gets the rough end of that one. So I just wanted to throw that in there, that I decided to throw up some stats, and they are not nearly as fun as I thought they might be.
That's nice. No, I like that little breakdown. And if I remember correctly, with the two of us on the show at the same time, I think we started off 0-3. So since then, we've had a nice little 4-1 run. So
yeah,
maybe we'll have to try to get as many double shows going on as possible here. Maybe it will be a good luck charm for the Sens heading for the rest of the season, because they could use it. They need a heater, an absolute heater, to be able to do anything at this point. But that's what was so surprising
for the rest of the season.
That's what was so surprising for me about today's win, is like you were saying, those previous games that you have done in the last week or two, like we've had so many just completely brutal games lately where it looked like the team was just not in it at any point after like going down by a goal or two. But this was the polar opposite. Like, full credit to the coaching staff and the players tonight. They came ready to play and they kept things going for the whole 60 minutes.
That has to be the most complete 60 minutes, like the most consistent, at least, all season. Kind of shocked by how well that went. Like, even when it was going back and forth, it was still the Leafs trying to catch the Sens. So that felt like a much better game than usual, which is a really, really nice. I still had some issues, I think, but I think, honestly, the first period was probably the weakest for the Sens, I would say. They had the most problems. Maybe the worst 4-minute power play I've ever seen. But overall, yeah, I'm thrilled with the result as a whole, for the game as a whole, yeah.
Yeah, so we will get more into the breakdown of the game here after our word from Sports Interaction. Think you know which way it's going to go? Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pre-game, live and play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. All right, so back to tonight's game. As you're saying about the first period, I totally agree that it was like it wasn't a bad start from the Sens, but it was pretty even, and then it was just shocking to me that they actually got better as the game went along because one of the biggest themes this season has been that the Sens like totally dominate a team in the first period and they don't score, or they only score once and come away like tied 1-1 or down 2-1. It wasn't so much the case that we like dominated in the first period. It was pretty even, but still that 1-1 score after the first, and then for once we actually improved as the game went along.
Yeah, we're so used to Sens dominated. It's 1-0 after the first for the other team. Like that's just
Hmm.
been, and then they just forget how to play. Yeah, like you said, they just stop after that. But no, I think they got better with each period. Yeah, like a couple rough bits. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna check the box score before I say anything because this might have been the second period. I might be having a bit of a brain fart here. But the two really bad penalties. First, okay, so the too many men penalty that was in the first period, right? Because
Oh,
that was at the tail end of the four
yeah,
minute.
yeah.
So that's that's rough.
That one
And
was a
then
little tricky for me because the camera angle that they showed on the replay was like
it just
not
has the
really
one
not
end of the
really centered.
bench.
Like it was kind of off screen. So I saw four guys like getting off the ice really slowly for the Sens, but I could not at all see how many guys hopped on. But if you have four guys getting on the ice and somehow you have five hopping on to make that too many men, like what a calamity that is. Like that's a pretty bad screw up on a power play for sure.
Yeah, and then remind me. I don't know if maybe you remember. I'm scrolling through here. Was that Zaitsev penalty in the first as well?
It was a minute 30 into the second. I
Is it
see
in the
it here.
second? Okay,
Yeah,
so
that one
barely,
that one
but
pissed me off to say the least.
yeah. So okay. So we'll say the first period plus a minute and a half or so
Hmm.
was the roughest parts of the Sens game. But yeah, other than those penalties, I don't think anything that they did annoyed me too much. It's just it feels like this. I don't know where to look for this stat, but who has the most too many men penalties this season, and how is it not Ottawa?
Yeah,
Like there's it has to. I mean, maybe every team feels that way because every single time it happens, it feels like holy shit again. How is this possible? But like they've got to be top five, right? They have to
it
be.
must be. There's got to be somewhere we can find that stat. I feel like with all the advanced stats that are out there nowadays, someone's got to have it.
Yeah,
So hopefully we can find that after the show tonight.
yeah. But yeah, other than those two penalties and a bit of too much back and forth, maybe in the first period, maybe I think they looked really solid.
Hmm.
Um, as far from your perspective, what do you think the biggest takeaway from the game is, other than just beating Toronto? Which is, hey, is there anything better than beating the
Yeah,
Leafs?
nothing better than
But
beating the Leafs. Um, if I had to pick out a positive or like my favorite positive today, honestly, I would say Thomas Chabot because he's taken so much heat this season and he's had kind of a up and down season kind of from game to game. He'll have a great game and then like a really poor game, but he was just amazing tonight, I thought. Like it seems I don't know what it is, especially when playing in Toronto, like not even just against the Leafs, but specifically in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena. I feel like he always scores on them. And he was just great at both ends of the ice tonight. He was absolutely flying. Even like besides the goal that he scored, I remember some other rushes where he was just like dancing around the Leafs forwards in the neutral zone,
Mhm.
and then gaining his own entry. Like I was really happy with Shabbat tonight, and if he can play like that more consistently, I think the criticism is gonna die down from the fan base.
Yeah, I think I'm my brain is still wired in that way that I'm like, all right, gotta specifically look for Shabbat errors in some way. And like
Hmm.
overall, yeah, I think he had maybe his best game of the season.
I think so.
Um, but I think there's just something about him this season that like when he does mess something up, my brain goes, "Oh, there's Shabbat doing it again." Where if anyone else messes something up, I go, "Oh, the Sens messed that up." So I think my brain is still wired that like I'm like zoning on him way too much.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I think in the first period, like on at least once on that power play, I was like, "Oh, that was a pass to nobody." But I mean, the whole team struggled on that 4 minute power play. That was a rough one. But yeah, overall, definitely, I would say, if not his best game of the season, a top three for sure. I think he looked really solid through the whole game.
I think so too. And Other than that first game against the Rangers, where he had the tying goal and the OT winner, that might also be Brady Tkachuk's best game of the season too, eh?
Oh yeah, he was everywhere. Like I don't know if we've ever really gotten a quote from him or really any indication outside of like on the ice, but I think he loves to hate the Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has to, right? So that's great. He was so psyched after that second goal he scored, which by the
Oh,
way, holy shit, I didn't know
absolutely
he could fit in,
beautiful.
like it's wild that like DeBrincat can fit in his jersey. So, like I can't believe that shot was wild. That shot was absolutely nuts. And he was so, like he just I mean Grant like Kachuk has like some great celebrations when like all the time, but he cellied so hard after that goal. Like he's
Yeah,
gotta hate the Leafs. He has to.
classic Selly, and I feel like there was a little bit of an element in there too about that was just such a nice goal, such a beautiful snipe that he was just like extra hyped on the Selly. Like it's like he's like
Yeah,
I scored such a sick goal that I get to Selly like I'm Austin Matthews. I scored like I'm Austin Matthews, so I'm going to Selly like it.
yeah. Yeah, looked so good all game.
Hmm.
Also, once again, I think Stutzla looked incredible,
Oh
but
my God, yes.
once again on the PK as well. Like
Yeah.
he's unstoppable. This guy, just great feed on Shabbat's goal as well. Like also, not 5-on-5. So it's even the strength was 4-on-4 at the
Hmm.
time. So technically not like a 5-on-5, but so not 5-on-5, not on the power play or thing, but or technically a non 5-on-5 point for Eric Brandstrom. Put
Yes.
that in your bingo card. Holy
finally we
shit, that's
got
exciting.
finally we got a Brandstrom point. It's been a while. You know what? Since I can pull it up quickly, I'm curious to see how long it's been since his last point. I'm gonna
Oh,
check this real quick. Do you want to make a guess at
yeah.
how many games it's been while I count quickly?
Oh, at any point in any situation.
Yeah.
Oh, Brandstrom's last point were what, game 48, and he has what, like 4 or 5 points now, maybe. So I'm gonna say
Ooh.
it's been a bit. I'm gonna say 27
Oh
games.
my. Okay, you're really close. I counted 25,
Oh,
which
okay,
is not
okay.
including tonight and not including the last game where he had a point. So just the games in between.
I feel good about that guess. I feel pretty good about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's on one hand, it's kind of sad that we were able to pinpoint such a large number just by guessing.
Yeah.
It shows how how long it's been. But
Oh,
I really
poor
hope we can
guy.
see him putting up some more points because I am really liking his play on the third pairing. He's been the ideal third pairing defenseman to me personally so far this year, just because he's really limited the turnovers for the most part in his game and has just been
Hmm.
really good at zone exits and just not causing problems on defense, even though that offense isn't really there. And you can excuse some of that in that the Sens in general just don't score at 5v5, except for tonight. For some reason, the Leafs just decided to let us actually have some 5v5 goals. But yeah, overall, I've
Yeah.
been really happy with Brandstrom.
Yeah, I do wish he was maybe a bit better at something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like his zone exits are great, but then once he gets the puck to the offensive end, he just doesn't really know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe some more power play time would help with that, but I mean, like unless you want to have three, and it's like with a team as stacked up front with forwards as the Sens, I don't think you'd ever want to have three defensemen on your two power play units. Like I think you probably just want to call it with Shabbat and Sanderson up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I get why he isn't being played on the power play. I think it's nuts when he's not on the power play, and like fourth liners are. I think at that point, like you're
Yeah.
just being silly. But yeah, shout out to Brandstrom, who like you said, the whole team struggles to produce 5-on-5, and he's not getting any power play time, so we can't like make it an issue when
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of like he's been playing with because he's been playing with Holden for most of the season as well, and Holden's not
Yeah.
really going to be helping out offensively all that much either. But he
Funny
he
enough, I
he
think
did
he
have
has
a good
more
game though,
points. I think he has more points than Brandstrom somehow.
which is,
Just
oh my
by a
god,
couple.
that sounds about right, probably.
It's funny that you mentioned Brandstrom not being on the second power play unit because I would definitely take him on there over Brassard, but then of course Brassard scored today, so on the power play. So then I feel like I'm just being rude and like
Oh yeah, that the
bad
whole game I was
timing
like,
with the
why is
criticism.
was like, why is Broussard still getting so much ice time? Yeah, yeah, Broussard had 4 minutes and 1 second on the power
Oh
play.
God, yeah, I guess probably a lot on that double minor. Probably at least like 2 minutes of the double minor.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, you know what's kind of cool though? Ridley Gregg, 4 minutes and 8 seconds power play, 56 seconds shorthanded. He was
Mm-hmm.
he was he
Yeah,
was put on the PK like on purpose for nearly a minute. Like if it was like 10 seconds, I'm like, all right, well that was just a change. But no, he's being held responsible for some really important minutes.
it's got to be super rare for rookies in general to get any power or penalty kill time, and then
Yeah.
in your second NHL game too. Like that's huge trust from the coach, and I really like that because Greg was awesome defensively and just with his two-way game. In the game against the Islanders on Wednesday. I don't know if you watched that game, did you?
No, I missed that one.
Okay, yeah. So since you didn't see Greg's first game, and I spent
Mhm.
all of last show just basically talking about him the whole time because he was the big story. What did you think of his game overall tonight? I gotta ask you.
I don't think at any point he necessarily stood out as incredible, but not once did I go, "What the hell are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
Like like 2 games in, and you look like you fit in perfectly fine with every other everyday NHLer. I think that's so impressive. Yeah, I'm really impressed with him. I think I mean I shouldn't say I never once like zoned in on him. I was like, oh yeah, that's a nice play by Greg or something. But yeah, just the fact that he kind of goes under the radar. At least this game, I think he went under the radar, which is tough to do
Mm-hmm.
so early on in the career. So I think, yeah, never really stood out to me as like an incredible. I don't think he had like an incredible game, but like he had, without a doubt, like a very above average second NHL game.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. He stood out a lot more in his first game. However, he's just fitting in perfectly, especially the fact that he's on a second line already, playing with like elite wingers, which usually a prospect wouldn't be given that much trust to have to center a second line in the NHL that quickly. And like we said,
Mm-hmm.
playing on power play and penalty kill as well. Like he fit in tonight. Not in terms of like wowing us necessarily, but I'm still really pleased with his play. I really hope he can stick around for the rest of the season.
It would suck if he has to be going back and forth, up and
Mm-hmm.
down throughout the season. I think, yeah, I think at this point, especially with how well he's playing, you just have to say, like, if I'm Pierre right now, I just say, okay, well, fuck it, he's up and he's looking good. Let's just ride it out and see what
Yeah,
we
roll
have.
with it.
Especially since like you have this kid who is he's on the second line, looks like he fits. Number one, that's so important just to keep Pinto on the third line, so you have any semblance of depth at center without Norris.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a huge part too. But I mean, maybe also I think you're probably just as shocked as I am that DJ's letting him play on the second line, but DJ seems to have his new thing with pairs at forward.
Right.
So I guess that's probably why, because he's like Pinto and Batherson are like the third line pair, and
I've liked that so
um,
far. I think
it's been okay. I think, yeah,
it was obvious that that Pinto needed a shake up. It wasn't it was a really slow start for him on the second line, I think, with Batherson, or was it Batherson and DeBrincat originally that I think it was on the second line with Pinto? It was a slow start for
yeah.
that line originally, and then they did pick it up for about like a 10 game stretch or so, I remember, but then it totally tailed off again. So I like that DJ recognized that Pinto needed a shake up and maybe playing against lesser competition, on the third line, and that's useful for Batherson as well too. I think with his defensive struggles, putting him with a good two-way center in Pinto.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with that so far. I like you said. I like that they just gave Greg the opportunity right away in the top six instead of just starting him out at the bottom of the lineup. I think DJ noticed that there was a bit of an issue there, and a bit of it is that Greg has played like probably better than everyone has expected so far, but it was a good
Hmm.
decision. It worked out well so far.
What do you think of first liner Matthew Joseph?
Hmm. I liked the idea, like as soon as they showed the lines from practice, like that, but I'm not sure how long I'll want them to stick with it. Like I think if
Hmm.
our 5v5 scoring does keep improving, like sure, go with it. Like Brady had 2 goals tonight from that line. I don't think Joseph picked up any points, but he was involved in like strong forechecking and stuff, and a bit on the cycle. I'm glad that they've given Joseph another shot there, because he obviously, we keep talking about every time with him, he had that hot streak when he came in after the trade deadline last year. So
Yeah.
to try to rekindle a little bit of that magic, just a little bit, like playing him with some more skilled players, I do really like that. I don't think it's been like great so far in terms of like Joseph producing offense on that line, but when you're playing with Kachuk and Stützle, it's kind of easy to not stand out, right? Like they're just so amazing that it's like I can't blame Joseph for not wowing me on that line. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I don't know whether look at this as a problem or like it's fine, because he kind of stood out to me just as much as he would on the third line,
Hmm.
which is maybe a problem when you're on the first line. It's really just like, oh, who's that guy flying down the ice fighting for a breakaway? Oh, it's Joseph. Which, like, I mean, it can be fun. Like if you have a guy with his speed and suddenly like the Sens get a possession that they otherwise wouldn't, and he feeds Kachuk or Stutzla on that play, that can definitely create some chances. But yeah, I don't know about long-term success trying to have a line with two elite like offensive players on each one, and then you just try and fill it out with a guy.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I know they struggled for a bit, but I do miss Giroux on that line with Kachuk and
Yeah,
Stutzla. Just, but yeah, I mean, honestly, the top three lines all looked really solid
I
for this
agree.
game. So
Just yeah.
can't really complain yet, but I just have a feeling 5 games down the line they're gonna have to move things around again.
Yeah, every line was rolling tonight. And one more note on Ridley Gregg. I have to point out Hamza in the chat has let us know that he had 86.22 expected goals for tonight in the percentage,
Wow.
which is, so we were saying like, oh, he didn't stick out too much, but he just looked like he fit in. And I guess if the definition of fitting in is having like a colossal expected goals share, like that's pretty damn good. Like that makes,
Yeah.
that puts it in more of a positive light for me. Even though it already was, that's just even better. Like that's an amazing stat. Like that's obviously not something sustainable, but that's just like just very good two-way game right there, and the stats proved it.
Yeah, if we're 2 games in for his career and everyone's in agreement that this game he didn't look nearly as good as his first, and he still was rocking an 86 expected goals 4%, that's not a bad way to start your
Mm-hmm.
career.
For sure. And another comment from the chat I want to point out was Andrew says that Holden has looked pretty decent with Shabbat, and I think I agree with that. It's not something that I expected to be saying, but it's been pretty good so far. Like I've been saying about Holden, like he looks like he's slowing down, and his minutes have been lowered this year. I think for a good reason, but surprisingly, I think he's actually been really good the last 2 games.
Yeah, he looked really solid tonight. I think he had 5 blocks, something like
Oh
that.
wow.
And yeah, he had a really solid game. Like, I do think that, yeah, if you have a really good as a defenseman, if you have a really good defensive game, usually it's like a completely unsung like um positive impact you had on the team, just because no one ever wants to talk about it or really even notices. You have to do it for like a decade nearly to be, because when you ask Sens fans like, oh, who's like a really good uh defensive defenseman on the team in Sens history, and who comes to mind, it's guys who had played on the team for years, right? Like you're gonna get people saying Volchenkov or Phillips or Mathot, right? So this is way too long of me talking to make this point, just to say, yeah, Nick Holden had a good defensive game,
Mm-hmm.
and I think everyone should be excited about that, especially since we can say that Holden looked really, really solid with Shabbat, first of all, and then also the fact that I don't know, maybe they both had their best game of the season. Maybe this is the top pairing that we should be focusing on, maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe this is I like it a lot more than Zaitsev with Shabbat. And even if, listen, when Zub is back, maybe you stick Zub with Sanderson if Holden and
Hmm.
Shabbat's still working.
I feel like DJ is not going to want to break up the Sanderson and Hamannik pairing, but I do like that idea. if Holden can keep
Yeah,
this play up.
that'd be great. And then like I don't necessarily hate Brandstrom Hamnick as a potential third pair.
Yeah,
Like that could work.
I think Hamnick's the type of guy where if you lower his minutes, you will be complaining about him a lot less because it's just. I still think he's a solid player. It's just a case of him being asked to do too much in terms of ice time a lot of the time.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, you know what? I don't actually hate the just with the way the current pairings are. I don't hate it because Brandstrom and Zaitsev each played about 12 minutes, and the other four were right around 20 minutes each. So I don't hate it. Like Shabbat played 24-38, which is perfect. I
Mm-hmm.
love that for
Yeah,
him. I love that right around that sweet spot. Over 5 minutes on the power play. Um, yeah,
him and
yeah. When you got
Shabbat and Sanderson like almost equal ice time tonight, and it was
mhm.
the same against the Islanders. I think that's what everyone has been waiting to see is just a little bit more of Sanderson and a little bit less of Shabbat to just kind of balance them out. And everyone has just kind
Yeah,
of had this theory that it will make Shabbat play better, and I think in the last two games is been perfect. So I really hope.
I think it's completely proven that. Yeah,
Mhm,
100%. And then when Zub is back and hopefully Zaitsev is out, then you can have even more wiggle room with your maybe like it's a weird thing to say because you can't really split up your pairings, but like your top three and bottom three defensemen, like when you bring Zub back, you can maybe lean on him a bit more than you would say like a Zaitsev, and then Hamnick and even Holden and Brandstrom's ice time comes down. I don't necessarily know if you need to bring Brandstrom down from his 12 minutes, but you can maybe reallocate those minutes a bit more, focusing on your top end guys that you'd want out there a bit more.
mhm.
What were we talking about? Yeah, all that's yeah, Holden looked good. That was
I
all
I'm
that to say.
glad I'm
Holden
glad
looked
that you
really
had a
good.
lot to say about Holden because did you notice that my camera died and I had to switch to my webcam?
Yeah, but luckily for you, I was in that whirlwind of like saying a lot of words and saying nothing at once. So like it was
It was
perfect
good
timing
timing.
on
The
that.
whole show, like since the first 5 minutes, I've seen my camera blinking like the red low battery icon, and I'm like, I thought that I charged it enough, but apparently I didn't. So I was just waiting for it to drop. So I'm on my crappy webcam now, but at
Yeah,
least it
there you
was
go.
at least it was not too hard to just switch to that real quick.
If you ever need me, if you ever see your camera about to die on another show again, just let me know and I'll just talk about Anton Volchenkov a whole bunch again.
That could just get you going for days. There.
I can do a whole episode on Volchenkov, easy,
Well,
easy.
I think we gotta mention, and I'm kind of surprised that we haven't yet. Is I think we do have to chirp Matt Murray a little bit today. Eh?
Oh, that's both games this season against the
Yeah,
Sens. Last minute dropout. Come on, dude.
I
Come
think
on, Matt.
I think the
Like,
first time at the beginning of the season he missed like a few weeks after that like with that injury, but this
yeah,
time I don't know, like that shot in warm up, like I don't want to say that shouldn't be an injury or anything, but I feel like that's the type of shot that a goalie takes and they're down for a couple minutes and then they're still able to like finish a game, you know? Like I'm really curious
yeah,
to see if Murray is like actually gonna be out for a while after this game, or if they're just gonna be like, oh, it was precautionary and he'll be back next game, and it's like really? Like, I don't know.
yeah. That felt. I don't know. Like, I will say I'm a little bit relieved because that's exactly if like, listen, if Murray was in net and the game ended up being 2-0 Leafs, I wouldn't be surprised just because that's how it works with the Sens
That's
against
true.
former goalies. Um, so when it was announced, like as puck drop happened that Samsonov would be playing instead, I wasn't that bummed. I think it's hilarious. I don't think it's funny that he's hurt. I just think the the consistency of Matt Murray not being able to play the Sens is very funny. Um, but yeah, that's that is a bit odd, I think.
Apparently, the update from Sheldon Keefe was that he's been dealing with an injury that flared up in warm-ups. So to be fair, maybe it wasn't actually from that shot that hit him up high. Like that's what they were showing on the broadcast and trying to guess is
Hmm.
that's what it was. Although if that was the last shot he faced in warm-up, like it does make it look like maybe it was that. But like, would that really be an injury that would flare up during warm-up? Like,
No, when someone says it's a flare, like an injury flares up, I think like
I think
a
muscles,
lower
right?
body.
Yeah.
I think like yeah, like maybe he's got like a leg issue or something. But no, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
That is really strange.
Yeah, and Andrew in the chat points out that Murray did back up the whole game too. So it's like
Yeah.
if Samsonov got hurt or if they had decided to pull him for whatever reason, like Murray was still there. It's not like they went to the e-bug route.
Yeah, that's true. And you know if they have to go e-bug, they're gonna find a way to beat the Sens with that. Just as anyway.
The Leafs are cursed though. They have. Do you think they would have been able to exercise their e-bug demons if they had one in net for themselves? I don't know. I'm not
Against
totally
Ottawa,
convinced. Maybe against the Sens. Yeah.
maybe against the Sens. Also, completely unrelated. Can I just be like a complete hater for
Oh
a
yeah.
second
Go
here?
for it. Go for it.
Those Leafs jerseys fucking suck.
Oh, the
They're
jerseys hot take.
awful. They're awful. Fuck. Listen, if you're gonna go for the black jersey, if like, how are they like? How are the designers like in a room? Like we gotta think outside the box here. We gotta use our imagination. Let's make a black Leafs jersey. On paper, sounds awesome. How do you make a black Leafs jersey and then use navy blue with it? Like,
Yeah, you need a lighter blue.
commit. Lighter blue, make it pop.
Mhm.
Commit to it. Come on. It's so boring.
You
I mean,
know-
maybe other hot take. It's still better than that fucking yellow jersey.
Oh, you don't
But
like the yellow?
oh, I hate the yellow
I kind of
jersey.
I want to see them wear it during a game just because it's different, it's unique, and like they're marketing this whole
Maybe.
thing. They're like, oh, it's the flip side jersey, but you don't wear the flip side of the jersey. I don't
No.
understand that at all.
And then like, I'm saying this as granted. I get it. I'm biased. I'm a Sens fan. I'm saying this as a Sens fan, but I'm saying this as a Sens fan who has hated how friggin' clean and great Leafs jerseys have been for my entire life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they've always been. The Leafs have always looked good. Even the people who are saying that, like, like the old like the pre rebrand with like the
Think of the
older Leaf,
Kessel
like
era
the
jerseys.
yeah, like the really
Yeah.
like hard edge.
Yeah,
I even
that logo
loved
sucked.
those as a kid.
Yeah,
I
you
even
liked
loved those.
those?
Honestly, I liked. Maybe it's just a nostalgia thing,
Yeah.
and it just brings me back to like, my childhood watching Sens Leafs games. But like, there's just, I mean, maybe it's just the blue and white that's just always looked so clean to me. But I can't stand the black jerseys. I think they're awful.
You know what I noticed
can't
about
believe
the
how
black
popular they are.
jersey during this game?
What's that?
Is it not the same as this Sens jersey, but with black? Like the striping is exactly the same, like black and then blue for the stripes. It's literally the same. The one stripe at the bottom, and the two stripes.
Yeah, well, they have
The Sens
what
one is
also does
definitely
not
way
come
better, but
through-
it's like the same design, I think.
But what doesn't come through at all, because this is because the design is stupid. There's also like a stripe in between the stripes.
I didn't even notice
does not
that
come
until
through
until they
at
did
all.
close-ups. I could not even
So,
tell. I've seen them play with this jersey
awful.
multiple times, and I didn't even know that middle stripe was not black. It's like some other really,
Yeah.
really dark shade of blue. Like I didn't even notice that at all.
Commit and do a light blue. Come
Mhm.
on, like just go all out. Do it or don't. Like I think I don't like those neon Dallas jerseys at all. So I'm not saying like go neon blue, but like
Oh,
a light
God.
blue would make it pop at least.
Yeah.
Like anyway.
It's funny that with the Leafs being the blue team forever, that you ended up with Montreal having a baby blue jersey this year, and the Leafs haven't done
Yeah.
that at all yet. That's so weird. That Montreal jersey sucks too. I don't know if I can be a hater about that one too. Do you agree about that one?
It's not as good as everyone says it is.
Mm-hmm. Thing is, though, I like the Florida Panthers baby blue jersey. I feel like that one works really well.
That one's
and they
nice.
did have a jersey with a similar color before, so it's not like
Mhm.
totally out of nowhere. Whereas the Habs are just like baby blue, even though we're a red team. That was just
Yeah.
weird for me. It doesn't work for the Habs. I don't like it.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna put the cherry on top of being a hater real quick as well.
Mhm.
Very funny that the Leaf fans were booing when Forsberg's mask came off,
Oh
like
yeah, that was
for
weird.
legitimate reasons. When we all know Murray would have pushed the fucking net off twice by that point.
Oh my
So,
god, yeah.
like it's fine. Whatever.
Especially because the Leafs shot it at him from. I'm pretty sure the Leafs
Yeah.
defenseman noticed that like he had his helmet off and was like, "Oh, if I shoot it at the net while he's trying to get it, while he's trying to put it back on, like maybe it'll go in."
Yeah.
So like, especially when Forsberg got his helmet off for like a good 30 seconds at that point, I was very confused why anyone was booing. Like that was really weird.
Yeah. Anyway, just had to become a hater for the last few minutes here.
Yeah, we're about to wrap it up here soon. Is there any last bit of hater energy you want to get out there tonight?
Oh, last bit of hater energy. Uh, there's only one good American play. You put me on the spot. No, I ruined it.
Was that going to be something along the lines of
It was gonna be
Brady
Kachuk's better
Tkachuk?
than Matthews.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't. I didn't have it. I flubbed it. It's forget it. Never mind.
It would have
I'll take
been
the L.
It would have been kind of forced hater energy anyway, because
Yeah.
we can't deny how good Austin Matthews is, but we still freaking hate him.
Yeah, friggin' guy's injured. Like that's great for the Sens, but terrible for my fantasy team. So like, get your shit together, Austin,
Oh
please.
my god.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think that'll do it for tonight. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Awesome game from the Sens. That was just absolutely amazing tonight. And we mentioned before, I hope everyone at the STPN event in Kingston had a great time tonight despite the loss for the Leafs. But yeah, hopefully the Sens can keep their winning ways going. You will cover the game tomorrow against Montreal. So
I will.
everyone be sure to tune in again for that. And yeah, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to SDPN. And thank you so much everyone for watching. Have a good night.
See ya.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.